Okay, Good Morning Football with the most clickbaity title I've ever seen. Is it a realistic expectation to see the Raiders compete in the AFC West in 2025? I think the short answer to that is no. But let's see what these guys got to say. Yeah, see, she's laughing because she knows it's a ridiculous
The former
question.
Seahawks coach says, change the picture, says the time for the Raiders to begin winning is now. Listen to Pete Carroll.
Took us a few years to get to the very top of the last couple programs I was with. We're starting right now, going for it immediately. We don't have some timeline. We got to make it 5 or 6 years down the road. That's not what we're thinking. We're going to start right now to go after it and build this team as quickly as we can. As John saw Max back there, Max, send the message, man. We're coming after you. We're going to come find you guys and get this thing rolling as soon as possible.
Can I just say that Pete Carroll looks great? Mm-hmm. I need him to release the skincare routine and the lifestyle memoir. Like, what is that man doing that puts him in that age and living his life this way? Just a sidebar.
He lives in Los Angeles and coaches or teaches at USC. That's the answer. A lot of people think when they see me in person, that I'm younger than my age because I lived in LA for 17 years. But okay, I'll continue.
Is this a realistic expectation, what Pete Carroll just set forth, to see the Raiders compete in the AFC West, Peter, next year?
No, I don't think you're looking at the Raiders and saying this is going to be an overnight sensation like Jaden Daniels and the Commanders just had. I do think that they're going to lay the groundwork, and that is why you bring up Pete Carroll, and it's why you bring a Ron Rivera in. It's why you bring guys who have done it before when these teams are at their nadir and at the bottom of the barrel. In this case, the Raiders are a blank slate. We don't know who their quarterback is. They're in a division with 3 of the best head coaches and 3 quarterbacks that'll give you fits over the next several decades. I think in this case, Pete Carroll made a lot of sense for this version of the Raiders because this is what he did when he stepped into USC. They were coming off a horrible run, came in and built that thing up. It's what he did at the Seahawks. They were coming down in a dark place. He brought them back up, bringing in a lot of young, youthful energy. Despite the fact he's in his 70s, I still think Pete can bring it. And for this Raiders team, I think he could start something. But I don't think they're competing next year with the Broncos, Chargers, and Chiefs for a title. No chance.
Ron?
Well, the real interesting thing for them is they don't have a quarterback in a division where all 3 of their opponents have very good quarterbacks. You've got to find the quarterback. If you can't find it in this draft, you've got to plan for the future. So that's the biggest thing that they've got to overcome, and that is they don't have the guy that pulls the trigger. Find that guy, build around him, and again, Peter, I agree, it's going to take time. You've got to lay the groundwork, and you've got to make sure you have people in place going forward for the next couple of years that can handle how tough it's going to be. This is not going to be an easy road. If they find their quarterback immediately, you'll see them build. If they don't, they're going to stay low. They'll be down in the cellar for quite some time. But the key is finding that quarterback in the next 2 drafts.
Okay.
Ron, I imagine you've known Pete Carroll for a long time. Do you remember when you first met him?
Yes.
What's that story?
It was an opportunity. I was at USC. He was there, had an opportunity to talk about some of the players that were coming out in the draft, stuff like that. And I'll tell you, he's a very cerebral guy. You can tell he's a very bright guy. He's also a very optimistic guy like me. He really believes there's opportunities, there's chances, there's challenges going forward. And I do know he knows the challenge is finding the next quarterback. He is going to lay the groundwork. He's going to try and put pieces into place. But if they can't find that quarterback, it's going to be very tough sledding. That's the truth. This is a quarterback-driven league. Teams that have good quarterbacks get into the playoffs or barely get into the playoffs. Teams that have very good quarterbacks make it to the championship game, and the teams that have elite quarterbacks are in the Super Bowl. And that's what we're seeing right now. So find your quarterback coach as soon as you can. Give yourself an opportunity to build it, go out and win football games in the future.
Ron, get inside his head. Why would someone of his stature, who is a legend in the NFL, a legend in college, on in years, has family, grandchildren, all that, why would he want to jump back into a project like this with no quarterback? Forget about why the Raiders chose him. Why do you think Pete chose the Raiders?
Challenge, opportunity. You know, I went to Washington, challenge, opportunity. Okay, I was able to lay some groundwork, and then you see what's happened. They've taken over and they've gone the right direction in Washington. I'm telling you, it's amazing what the right quarterback does, Peter, and you said it. If you find the right quarterback, you are going to put yourself in position. That's exactly what we saw with the Commanders. And I think what Pete knows, and Pete does know this, he's got to find his quarterback. He was fortunate. He found his guy in Seattle, wins his Super Bowl, goes to another Super Bowl. He was there twice with the same quarterback. This is really about quarterback.
Yeah, and I think the challenge, too, is something that speaks to any coach who's in that position that's had success. Peter, you talked about what he did at USC, you know, following after Hackett, and we know what he's done, you know, with the Seahawks. But what's more impressive is his ability to sustain that. He leaves USC as the second winningest coach in the school's history. You know, at 83%, he was winning his game. He comes to the Seahawks, does the same thing. He's able to sustain a certain level. And I think that speaks to formula, being able to have the formula and understanding how to get something nice and big, like a big puzzle, like a 30,000-piece puzzle, and trying to solve all of that. And I think he really enjoys that project. And look, the Raiders have been a project, and they're going to be a project. It's been a long time. We've talked about that, and I think this is the very type of coach that the Raiders needed. They needed a person who has the recipe, the formula, the playbook to change an organization, and I fully believe in him. And look, they have that 6th pick. It's going to be very interesting to see what they do in the draft. Maybe they try to sneak up. Maybe they try to get a Shaduer Sanders, especially when you think about what Jaden Daniels has done for the Commanders. Maybe they find that lightning in a bottle.
Okay. I think Pete Carroll showed that he could play, or he could coach without a quarterback, because he was getting to the playoffs with Geno Smith. So, but yeah, to compete in that division, obviously you're going to not just need like a franchise quarterback. You need an elite, top-tier, upper echelon quarterback. And I don't know if they're going to be able to get that in the draft. But yeah, we'll see. I like the hire. I like what they're doing there. Get the quarterback. The quarterback could totally. You can go from the basement to the penthouse overnight if you have the right quarterback. Look at Washington. Look at who's on this panel. Kind of interesting that this guy here, Ron Rivera, look what happened after he left Washington. Let me know in the comments below, what do you think? Should they trade up? Or should they just bring in a veteran this year and then go for a quarterback next year? Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.